an unidentified UFO object suddenly caused an air raid alert, and then fighter jets were raised over St. Petersburg in Russia. St. Petersburg, as we know, was established by Peter the Great just across from Norway. And we know that Russia has had various alleged UFO crashes. This is a picture of one of the Russian UFO crashes. So after the spy balloon occurrences over the US and Alaska and other countries, perhaps is something that's also taking place in Russia. So this is what's going on in St. Petersburg, as we say, just across from Norway. An unidentified flying object caused cancellation of flights at Pulkovo Airport, which is in St. Petersburg, Russia. Information sources said February 28, the requirement for the immediate landing or withdrawal from a certain area of all aircraft in flight came to force immediately, except for military and rescue flights. This is introduced only in exceptional cases, like this one. And later, fighters, presumably MiG-31 Su Sukhoi 35, took off into the air and the sky over the northern capital, and it was closed until 1 p.m. 200 square kilometers, or 77.2 square miles of airspace were closed over St. Petersburg and the Leningrad region, and civilian liners were transferred to the waiting area. The carpet plane, the plan was introduced when crossing the border illegally, as well as when unidentified objects appear in the airspace there. Social networks spread very conflicting information, though. Some argue that a reconnaissance drone was spotted over Pulkovo, the airport, either from the Baltic countries or from Finland itself. Others write that a huge balloon of the type that recently flew over the United States was allegedly seen in the St. Petersburg sky as well. According to Flight Trader 24 service, there were no civilian aircraft in the air over St. Petersburg for about an hour. As reported, the closure of the airspace could be associated with a search for an unknown flying object. As the leader of the Russian Union of Afghan Veterans, former deputy chairman of Federation Council Committee on Defense and Security from 2015 to 2020, Colonel of the Reserve Franz Klintsevich said the carpet mode is achieved primarily by echeloning air defense, when on the distant approaches, the military and other objects are such anti-aircraft missile systems as S-300, S-400, Buk 35, Panzer S-1, and some others. Radio stations work taking into account the fact that these air defense systems overlap many times. That is, a certain aircraft enters the zone of fire damage, and the general command control system itself makes a decision and gives a command to use either S-300 or S-400, Panzer or Buk, depending on the reflective surface of the target, its size, height, speed, and range, Klintsevich said. And in his opinion, this air defense system is very reliable, and as a rule, it covers very serious military and government facilities. Closer to noon, it was reported that the UFO had been spotted 160 to 200 kilometers from St. Petersburg. The Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation transmitted this data to Pulkovo Airport, after which the air harbor stopped receiving aircraft and fighter jets began to be on duty in the air. And in addition, the mayor's office of St. Petersburg reported a delay in flights to Pulkovo for up to 12 hours. Residents of the city reported on social networks about a terrible jet turbine roar over their heads, and according to rumors, a UFO was seen over the airport. At the same time, the leadership of the metropolis of the city added that the airport and its services were operating normally. Around 12 noon, the media channels announced the cancellation of the carpet plan and the opening of airspace over St. Petersburg and the Leningrad region. At about 12:30, the first planes after the temporary closure of the sky landed in Pulkovo Airport, and 2 hours after the incident, the Russian Ministry of Defense reported that on February 28, the duty forces of the Western Zone of Responsibility for Air Defense conducted a training session on interaction with civilian air traffic control authorities. The report says the air defense forces on duty have worked out the issues of detecting intercepting and identifying the alleged target of the intruder, as well as interacting with emergency services and law enforcement agencies in the event of an emergency. The media claims that the Russian military involved fighter jets during the exercises, which made sorties, quote, to work out the issues of interception and identification of the conditional target of the intruder, end quote. And this is on Solask. So we don't know, though, who was behind this. They went to work to detect, intercept, and identify the alleged target intruder, but they don't mention who was behind this. I guess once they find out, they'll let us know. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box.